Hello everyone and welcome back. Let's see how to find the first non-repeating character in a string. Okay, this is a commonly asked interview question. Given this string, we know that first non-repeating character will be C, and also E is also non-repeating character, but E is the second non-repeating character. But we are interested in the first non-repeating character. Okay, how we can do that? What we can do is we can get the frequency of occurrence of each character in the string using a map data structure. We want to count how many times each character happens, and we can find the character that happens one time. We can return that. Let's see. Okay, what I can do is I can define a map data structure. We know how to get the frequency of each letter uh, in a string. We can either use a stream API or just define a map data structure. I want to map character to its count, which is of type integer. I'll call it frequency equal to new hash map. Okay, for now I'm gonna define hash map, and let's see what problem we encounter. And I'll just say for character C and s.to string, two character array. I just wanna update my entries in the map. I'll say frequency dot put the character. I will check if the character is already in the map data structure. I will get its old value and update or add one to that. Otherwise, if it is not there, just put the character C and give it a default value of 0 and add 1 to that. For that, we have a function in map data structure which is frequency dot get or default. It will check if the key is already present in the map, is going to get its value. Otherwise, if it is not present, it's going to put a default value for that. I will say check if character C is present there. If it is present, just put a default value of 0. And just if it is not present, put a default value of 0 and just want to add 1 to that. But if it is present, get its value, get its old value and add 1 to that. We are updating the value. Okay, it's frequency. What I can do now, maybe I can just print that. I'll say this out, print the frequency, or I can loop through the elements. Let's see what we get. We get A 2 times, B 2 times, C 1 time, and E 1 time, F 2 times. So what I can do now, I can loop through the elements of the frequency map. I'll say for map dot entry. We know our key type is character and our value type is integer. I'm gonna call it entry inside frequency dot entry set, and I will check if uh, if entry dot get value, which is the count of the character, each character. I'll say if it is equal to 1, just print the character, which is entry dot get key, the character, print that and just break out of the loop. Okay, let's see what happens. If I run my code, it's going to find C. C is the first occurring character. Okay, I'm just gonna comment out this line of code. Now what happens if I have for example Z here? Z is the first non-repeating character now. Okay, C is the second and E is the third. If I run my code, it is still print C. Why? Because hashmap by default doesn't preserve the insertion order. Okay, it doesn't preserve the order. In order to preserve the insertion order, we can use another implementation of map interface, which is called link hashmap. Link hashmap preserve or stores the insertion order. So we wanna store the insertion order. In that case, we just wanna instantiate that with a link hashmap. If I take a look here, it's going to print Z. Okay, if I put a Z here, it should print C. If I duplicate C also, it should print E. But what happens if I don't have anything? Let's see. It prints nothing. Okay, this is a traditional way using the for loop and hash map we can do and find the first non-repeating character. But we can do it using a stream API. If you want to do it using a stream API, you can do that. So what I can do this time, I can count the frequency of occurrence of each character in a string using an stream API. So what I can do is I will say is.curse. It's going to give me an integer or int stream, which is the ASCII value of each character in the string. But I just don't want to work with that. I just want to map it back to a character to get a stream of characters. I will say get a character or get an ASCII value and just typecast that ASCII value to a character. Okay, now I get a stream of the character. I just want to collect it back to a map data structure to get the frequency of each character. So I will say collector dot here collectors dot grouping by. I can group by each character. Okay, it takes a classifier which will be the key of the map. I'll say take the character, whatever character it is, and put it back as a key inside the map data structure. Okay, and I can pass a downstream. How do I want my values to be? I want to count the occurrence of each character. I'll say collectors dot counting. Okay, now it's going to give me a map data structure. I can store it somewhere. I'll say just to take a look, we get a map data structure where each character is associated or mapped to a long value, which is the occurrence of the character in that string. Okay, if I just print collect, let's see what we get here. Okay, it's going to give me the frequency of each character. Okay. Now if I want to get the first occurrence of each character, I can further apply some methods, intermediate methods or terminal methods in that stream. I can either use collect here or I can chain it here. Okay, let me to be simple, I just want to use the collect, or let me call it frequency to be more clear. I'll say frequency, my frequency map. I can get the frequency. I'll say frequency dot. Now I can apply some stream API on its entry set. I'll say dot entry set dot stream, get a stream out of that, and I just want to do something with that. Okay, I want to filter this stream, and I will say get an entry and filter that if entry dot get value is equal to 1. Okay, just filter this one. I just want to find the first occurrence, and I'll just say find first, and if there is no it's going to return me an optional, and if there is no first non-repeating character, just return null, or else just return null. Okay, so this way I can find the first non-repeating character using a stream API. If I catch it to a variable, it's going to okay. We have an entry, okay, in our stream, entry of character to long. So what I can do here, maybe once I found or filter that, I can just map it, get an entry, and just map it to entry dot get key. Okay, key is a character. So now it's going to return me a character. I can catch it, character C. Okay, I can just turn the C here. Let's see what we get here. We get C, but what happens if I put a Z here? Let's see, does it maintain the insertion order? It doesn't, because we have the same problem. Okay, here when we use the collector dot grouping by, we pass the key and the value as counting. I can also here I can mention in what implementation of map data structure I want to collect that. Okay, I can collect it in tree map, in hash map, or a linked hash map. We know the linked hash map stores or preserve the insertion order, so I just want to collect back this to a linked hash map. Okay, right now by default it returns a hash map, but we want to store that in a linked hash map. I'll just say link hash map, and I just want to call pass a reference to its constructor. Just create a new link hash map and store everything in a link hash map to store or preserve the insertion order. Okay, if I run that now, it's going to return me Z. If I have Z here, it is going to return me C. Okay, something like that. But what happens if C is repeated? It's going to return me E, and if E is repeated, it's going to return null. Okay, so no non-repeating character is present in this string. So that's it. So the main idea is why we are using link hash map. We just want to preserve the insertion order, so that's why we can get the first non-repeating character easily. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video, and please don't forget to subscribe.